In the early hours of Saturday, August 3rd, a former presidential candidate and activist Omoyele Sowore was arrested by the DSS. It is well known that Sowore was planning a mass protest on August 5th to call out government on the perceived ills it has done, obviously, to the citizens. Now, with the arrest of Sowore on Saturday, what does that mean for the protest? Will it still go on? And all these we are discussing right here on Root Cause. We have in the studio a close associate of Sowore in the person of Professor Mustapha Chris Mukobia. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure to be here.
All right, so tell us what you know. You said you were in touch with his people. Why was he arrested, and what is the condition he is in right now? If you have that information, please share with us.
First, I want to say that a government that is unable to address the fundamentals of leadership will get jittery, and that's actually what happened this morning. When I heard the news, I called up Inebefe Effiong, his lawyer, and the legal advisor to the party, African Action Congress. And then he said to me that about 2:30 a.m. this morning, he got a call from Sowore regarding the storming of his premises by the SSS, and that they attacked some people within the premises and then destroyed his car, and that he had been taken into custody and his phones confiscated. I asked about what will happen on Monday, and then he said, well, that about 30 states have been mobilized for the protest. And simply, Revolution Now is about peaceful protest, and nobody has said they're going to burn down houses. I wonder why the government is jittery. Nobody has said that they're going to take to violence. But you know that, agreed that the government has failed woefully on practically all scores, and agreed that the government doesn't know how to engage with the people, agreed that more than addressing issues, this government sloganeers, more than addressing these issues, there's so much of propaganda rather than policy programmatic, and that's a problem we have. That is why so many people have bought into the Revolution Now programmatic. That is why 5th of August remains, because when I spoke with his lawyer, I said, well, all plans are still ongoing.
Whether Sowore is going to be there or not. Do you not share government sensitivities in the period like this, considering that they have been protests that have led to violence and to even death, and they could be reports. In fact, as a matter of fact, we have heard some quarters that there are possibilities that the Sowore revolution now could be either infiltrated or taken over by some elements who may foment violence. Based on that, I don't have all those security detail, but if that is a possibility, don't you see the reason why government would want to put a lid on this particular protest?
At the heat of the African-American protests and revolution in the United States of America, John F. Kennedy said that those who make peaceful change impossible make violent change inevitable. I want to say that government must understand that those who disagree with government are not necessarily enemies. Government must understand that at some point, those who are the paladins, those who hold superintendence over this country today, were at the front line of protests against fuel subsidy. I was there in 2010, 2011. And they were at the front line of protests against the administration of Jonathan. Remember that Adams Oshomole, President Muhammadu Buhari, and several of the leaders of the APC were out on the streets, and nobody attacked them, nobody arrested them. The tragedy of now is the insensitivity of government to the plight of the people. And then you want to muzzle the right of protest, which is constitutional. And I think that that's what the government must begin to address. They have this penchant for perceiving opposition as haters, as enemies. That is why they will look for any excuse. I don't think that there are concrete evidence or excuse for the arrest of Sowore, and indeed those who are saying that the Revolution Now protests will be violent. There are no concrete evidence on the ground.
Let's look at this revolution now in totality. We have seen lots and lots of protests in the past few days and even months leading to the elections and afterwards. What was this hoping to achieve? Because I can see on social media a lot of young people, aggrieved people want to join. But what is the concrete message and what is it hoping to achieve beyond just an ideology of a better Nigeria?
I think that a highly progressive world is asking fundamental questions of leadership, particularly in Africa and indeed Nigeria. And when you're mobilizing young people, if you go online over the social media, people are buying into the Revolution Now initiative. People are asking questions. If you don't ask questions, you remain where you are. And I think that the reason we are where we are as a people is because sizably the culture of protest has been has died down a bit. And if we reawaken, which of course is a message Sowore was sending out, if we reawaken the culture of protest, we'll be able to make government understand that the buck stops at the table of leadership, particularly the president, and they must address fundamental issues of states, national security, hunger, job creation, and the likes. And unfortunately, like I said, rather than address these fundamentals, policy programmatics of government, this government is consistently involved and engaged in propaganda.
And that sounds a little ambiguous. I'll give you an example. In Sudan, these young people sat and protested for days, and they had one thing that they wanted: a change of government that would lead to a better Sudan. Now, the point here is, while we are asking for infrastructure, security, and all of that, there isn't a particular goal put out there. Do you want a change of government? Do you want a change of president? Do you want a change of Minister for Defense? There isn't a tangible call for we want this leading to this. So it feels like a group of people coming together to register their displeasure at government, and we go home and continue as life is, grumbling. So what is that tangible goal that when everybody goes out on Monday, you are saying, we want this, give us this, and we can see this, and it means something?
Clearly, let me say this, that to the extent of the fact that we have a democratic order, nobody's actually saying regime change. What we're saying is that fundamentally, issues of nationhood, leadership must be responsible and responsive to the people. And I think that's fundamental enough. The only problem we have as a people is the fact that partisans are beginning to see the Revolution Now initiative as purely a partisan, an anti-Buhari programmatic. But that's not what it is, because Sowore and his team has clearly said that what they are about is no to a generation of political buccaneers, no to a generation of rapacious politicians, no to a generation of leaders who do not care about our people. They've talked about the National Assembly and the need to put the National Assembly the same regular wage programmatic with other people. We have the most expensive legislature in the world. In our country, it's about the poorest in terms of take-home of workers. So how can you have the most expensive legislator and you have the least minimum wage in Africa? That's a tragedy of sort, and it's a fundamental question. Then we're talking about the need to revamp our security network. Nobody has been sacked since 2014, when this president came into power. Over 30,000 Nigerians have lost their lives to the Moradi herdsmen, according to data and statistics. This president hasn't deemed it right to declare through the courts the Miyetti Allah and the Fulani herdsmen organization a terrorist organization. But this government and this president has gone ahead to do that.
These are the issues, and these are the fundamental issues that you're going to be putting forward. How long do you plan to do this? Because in Sudan, I'll give you an example, and in so many countries, even in Tunisia, that saw a revolution now, they were willing to go for days, weeks, months. How willing are you to continue this? Because you can't just go on a match one day and go home and expect the government is going to flip and do what you want. How long are you willing to do this?
About a decade ago, Nigerians stood out on the streets, Ojota, Abuja, for 2 weeks, and the government was almost toppled. What is important, and that is what we must note, is the fact that when we reinvigorate and reignite the culture of protest in our country, we shall have begun a new awakening. What happened in Tahrir Square in Egypt? They did not plan for a long haul, but as events unfolded, the resolve and the confidence and the commitment of the people built up. The same thing has happened in Sudan. If that is the way to go in this country, we don't
Do you
have an
even
option.
see it happening that way in this country where you would go out on a day's protest? It actually happened with the Bring Back Our Girls, because I've spoken to their organizers who said they just wanted a one-day thing and they have seen it become years and years of that. Is this a possibility here where you start with a one-day match and find yourself sitting out, like maybe Occupy Nigeria, for a period of time until you get some of these things that you have mentioned?
Let me shock you. Every so often you hear about people saying that Nigerians are not dogged with protest. You find out that people lack an understanding of historicity. This country has been able to resist leaders. That is why our country has never had a sit-tight leadership that's gone up for up to 10 years. Remember how IBB left? We were on the streets. Sowore was with me. We were on the streets for weeks, and at the end of the day, IBB. I don't know whether you've seen the word "step aside" in the dictionary before. He coined the word. Out of frustration, he had to leave and then handed over power to Shoneko. The same protest continued, and at the end of the day, Shoneko couldn't continue. Abacha came. Abacha couldn't visit the Southwest for almost 5 years because the Nigerian people were resolute, saying no, never ever again.
And
I think that with what is happening today, with Nigerians being mowed down everywhere, human barbecues everywhere, with hunger, poverty, despondency, and frustration, Nigerians will definitely reignite that resoluteness.
These millennial youths will do that? You believe that?
For God's sake, they will. You don't have an alternative. The fact is that we must hold leadership responsible.
Here's another thing. There are people who believe that Sowore is using this to reignite his relevance in the political space and in Nigeria in general. Let's talk about the fact that his own party right now is going through a factionalization. They're in court, and to some extent they have even they have succeeded in deposing him as the head of the party. Now, for some people, they are seeing this as an image cleaning for Sowore to situate himself as the face of young people, as the face of revolution. So this is more for Showore's image than it is about fixing Nigeria and its problems.
I disagree. I've been through this kind of hoopla and this kind of hoobry myself, so I know exactly what people would say. But the truth is that if you're passionate about your country, if the resolve for a new Nigeria is your unalterable commitment, you will do certain things. Sowore has done his best as a presidential candidate. I wouldn't. There are parties that are factionalized. The APC, the ruling party, is factionalized. There are other parties that are factionalized. So if the government decides to infiltrate his party and cause factions in the party, it's not something to... The truth is that the young man has discharged himself creditably as someone who truly cares about our country, and that's the truth. From his days in Unilag, when the state almost killed him, with Sahara Reporters, which has been one whistleblower against corruption, and then running for the presidency at his own personal cost. I know what it cost me in 2011. I began the whole process. I was a presidential candidate in 2011 at the age of 40. And some people thought, oh yeah, he's got too much money, so he wants to throw it away. But the point is that it's about a resolve for a new Nigeria, a commitment that beats inside of us, So I do not buy into those who are saying that it's an image thing for Sowore. I think he's committed to what he believes.
Finally, what are the expectations for Monday, whether Sowore is there or not?
In Effiong, his legal advisor told me clearly that about 30 states have bought into the Revolution Now initiative, and I believe that it will go on because he did say it will go on. And then the action of the DSS has actually brought more sympathy for the initiative. So I think that those who were otherwise on the sideline before today will definitely buy into the initiative. And you'll find people like me coming out on Monday to join the initiative. That's the truth.
Interesting. Best of luck to you. And you have heard all of the issues that we have discussed right here on Root Cause, Sowore, and the revolution. Now, what are your thoughts? Go to the comment section of this video and tell us. You stay right here on Rootstv Nigeria. I'm Gloria Oje Emodi.